come. Every nation together. Every nation together.
I say, come, my brothers and sisters, let we build a beautiful nation together. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique belong to all of us. We have a stake in this place we call home, and we must work diligently to enhance it, to make it better for our children and children. That is what we must strive to do. Make it better so that they would inherit something way more advanced, way more improved than what we inherited. My name is Kem Jones, and I want to welcome you to this segment in the program where I will speak, laying a solid foundation for dialogue, for conversation. I want to encourage those on Facebook and YouTube to please share the live. Sharing is caring. I want to start off this morning again with some positive pieces, because it's important to share the positive news with all and sundry. So I want to start off with the farmers expressing their appreciation.
My name is Rudolph Licorice. I live in the bottom Marigot. I'm with Jan and the hill over there. I charge roughly about 2.5 acres of land, and I do well. I do a lot of things I plan. And I get this check now, so I feel pleased I could put it back into the land and help back, so then I will be continue doing farming, because I do farming and fishing.
How do you feel about the Ministry of Agriculture's or government's assistance to farmers?
Well, I feel they're doing all right. Yeah, I'm pleased about what they're doing. They give back to them farmers, and I feel pleased about it.
And I have to say kudos to the NDC, because in the past government time, they have nothing to give nobody. I think first time I received something. Thank God for NDC. Thank God. And I say thank you very much. Thank you.
My name is Nelly Philip. I'm from Mount Pleasant, St. John's. And I thank you all very much for giving me this token, and it will go along when I thank you very much, because some of me nutmeg, me fig, me breadfruit tree, and cook one thing for long, and I do appreciate it very much, and I thank you all very much.
Elizabeth Tika from Closure, Elizabeth Tika. Well, I appreciate it because it's going back to the land. We're well thankful for it because we lost a lot of things. And I say thanks for the check, because it's give us a long way to go ahead. Yes? Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate that little monies, and I think it will help me to go a long way. And I'm very thankful for that. Yep.
I'm Andrew Otley, and I'm from Pomerose St. David's. But I think it's a good initiative. It has been because it will be able to help resuscitate the farm, and also get me back in production, and other farmers also who have been affected by not only Burl but also by the floods.
I mean, I feel good because I'm I lose a pump, I lose about 2 pumps, I lose my pump hoist, I lose pipe, I lose scraps. But I feel happy this morning. You know what I'm saying? I thank my Prime Minister for helping us. Here we cry for so long, you know. We always crying and we get help. So we come this morning, look at the money we get, we champ us back on the farm, buy more plants, and some buy pump and see what we get starting back in the future to come.
And so I feel good. I know that I received some form of assistance from there because I never got nothing before and I got a little top up now, so I'm going to use it wisely.
I would like to thank the government of Grenada for this assistance, this much needed assistance. Right now, this came as a strength. The hurricane passed and it would have daunted my spirit, daunted a lot of persons' spirit. After looking at the devastation, all you could have done is just shake your head. But this support really is encouraging. And
yes, this young man, I know, and I knew his father. His father was liquor piece. He was a bad NDC boy. He was a driver of a bus for Grand Dance, right? I knew this young man was teaching at the St. Rose Modern Secondary School, and I don't know what school he's teaching in now, but he's also a farmer. So I felt very, very proud, hearing from him, seeing him there, receiving that check to help him. But I also reflect on his father, right? His father was front and center with the NDC, but he passed away. May his soul rest in peace. But he was the guy who, once I get to St. George's, he wants an update. He wants to know what's going on. He used to listen to the program and so on. And boy, he really hated, and I would use the word hated, Keith Mitchell and the NNP over all the years. I'm talking about the years of struggle to get to this point where we are in government. So I just thought I should say that here.
And it shows that there is help available if you search for it. So I'm very happy that this assistance was given to myself and a number of other farmers throughout the country. And we will put those inputs back into the land. And we, do hope that further assistance is on the way, whether in terms of planting material or other things like that.
I think it's a wonderful thing, because when you work hard and natural disaster destroy some of your work, and a government could see it fit to remunerate farmers, I think it's a very good idea, a blessed idea. I think it's a very good idea.
I would like to say thank you to the Minister of Agriculture for giving us this great assistance. We thank you because we know that our land will be worked and produce more and more. So we give thanks to you and to God for what you have done for us. Thank you.
Thank you to the Minister on behalf of all the farmers for this small take-on. We appreciate it. Pray that God will bless you. Have a blessed day and thank you.
Well, trust me, it's very good. We're grateful. Very good for because right now where I get it in, I go and buy some fertilizer again, and I need some fig plant again. I mean, about 200 fig plants. I mean, I do real good profile. So I'm putting the money back in the land.
So that will help me very much because you see the little that I had also use it to pay my workmen and them, and getting this little fund now, that will help me to go a good way. And I'm so thankful for it. God be praised.
Yes, you see, some people underestimate the intelligence of the farmers throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique, and not just the farmers, but the fishers. They underestimate the intelligence of these people. They are grateful, they are thankful, but they can also reference that they never got anything in the past. When Ivan, when Emily affected them, they were never given any cash payout or any check to go to the bank and get their $5,000 or their $4,500 or their $9,000. No, they were never given that. But this administration saw it fit to inject that kind of money back in agriculture, back in the hands of the farmers. 23 point something million dollars, went directly in the hands of farmers to help them to bounce back, to build back, to get back to that place where they're producing again and where they could harvest and, take care of themselves and their family. This is significant. Some people may underestimate that kind of injection of real money in the hands of farmers. So again, congratulations to the NDC administration for seeing it fit to help farmers to bounce back, right? Again, let me play another piece of positive news.
Addressing members of the Grenadian migration at his town hall meeting in New York last Saturday, Minister of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, Honorable Andy Williams, highlighted the government's strategic vision for the sister islands of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, emphasizing their unique economic potential and cultural significance. He announced plans for major infrastructural improvements, including road and port expansions. These initiatives, he said, will not only improve connectivity across the island, but also create employment opportunities for citizens. Minister Williams outlined initiatives to boost tourism and cultural heritage and underscored the importance of these efforts in boosting tourism and fostering national pride.
The Paradise Beach Enhancement Project will revitalize one of our most beautiful natural treasures, transforming it into a premier tourist destination that will bring new opportunities for local businesses and create jobs in the hospitality sector. The Hillsborough Development Project is designed to modernize the beauty of the capital of Carriacou, improving infrastructure, public spaces, and services to ensure that Hillsborough remains a vibrant and attractive place, both for residents and visitors. The Bel Air Heritage Site Development Project will preserve and showcase our rich history and culture, turning Bel Air into a place of education, tourism, and pride for the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique.
Government plans to restore historical landmarks and invest in community-driven tourism projects that celebrate the island's rich history and traditions.
These projects, along with other important initiatives, are all part of our holistic vision to ensure that Carriacou and Petite Martinique flourish economically, socially, and culturally. By investing in these islands, the people, infrastructure, and industries, we are creating a foundation for sustainable growth and a prosperous future. With over $44 million invested in Carriacou and Petite Martinique for 2025, we are sending a clear message. We are building the future together.
As Carriacou and Petite Martinique prepares for a transformative 2025, Honorable Andy Williams addressed signals of a clear vision for progress, with the government prioritizing sustainable economic development, infrastructure improvements, and the preservative of the island's cultural legacy. For MTV News, Michaela Mark.
Yes, and again, the Honorable Andy Williams doing a fantastic job. He journeyed or traveled to the United States, well, New York. He and the Honorable Ron Redhead, and then the Honorable Andy Williams traveled to Canada, and it's all on government business and party business, which is very, very good. And he returned yesterday. From Canada. So kudos there, the Honorable Andy Williams. I love how NDC and how the government is operating, bringing the information out there to Grenadians in the diaspora, letting them know the vision, what the NDC intends to do. All right, still keeping it positive. All right, the handing over of the Marabou Tissue Culture Lab.
The handing over of this tissue laboratory marks one of the pillars that is required to begin the process of transforming Grenada's agricultural sector.
This project is about people. It's about developing our local talent, creating local scientists, because agriculture is a science, and we must have our own Grenadian scientists from Marabou. And that's what this project is all about.
This is a significant step in ensuring that at the foundation level, we are doing what is required to make sure that all persons who are interested in farming, not just those who are farming now, all those who are interested in farming get great access to planting material.
Yes. All right. So that was the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell there at the handing over of the Tissue Culture Lab. This is a very, very important project, a very, very important milestone for agriculture in Grenada, where you can actually produce the plantlets and, produce stuff at that lab, disease-free and that kind of thing, and have young people get into that, become agronomists, become chemists, become biologists, get into that field. And I love where it's located, in Maribor. All right. And the Honorable Lennox Andrews there, making it very clear. The next scientist could come right from Maribor. That's good. That's really, really good. Folks, I want to say to you that the whole athletics season, right? The sporting rivalries. We have the primary school sports, we have the parish sports, we have, in other words, at a primary school, at a parish level, you have the school having their sports, and then they would compete among all the primary schools. You have the private schools, they would have their sports, and then they would compete among the private schools. Then you have the secondary schools, they would have their sports, the school itself, and then they would compete among all the secondary schools, right? Because you have the intercall games. Folks, I want to remind you that before the NDC came in power, there was no intercall for a number of years. And all these primary school sports and parish sports and, all these kind of extracurricular activity and so on. Because the NNP dock the salaries of teachers. And that's something that you have to remind the students in Form 5 and in college and in NULO and so on. Remind them that when the NNP, and even the younger ones too, especially those who will be of the age to vote come the next election, you have to remind them that when the NNP was in power, they went into the salaries of the hardworking teachers because the teachers were protesting for their pension and their increase. They went into their salaries and they took their money. They took the kakada from them. And the teachers union decided, well, if you could take our money from our salary because we protested for what was rightfully ours, then all these extra things that we were doing, we stopping it. We're not participating. So there was no science fair, all the debates and all the sporting events and so on. But you know who was the Minister of Education then? Yeah, Emlyn Pay. She was the Minister of Education at that given time. Right? So, hello?
Morning, Mr. Jones. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Are you busy now?
Yeah, you're calling me on my program, my dear. I am live. Yeah, you don't listen to the program? Are you aware of that? Yeah, I'm live. Okay, all right. You can call me after. Okay, call me 9 o'clock. I'll laugh tonight. All right, so somebody call me there. All right, so yes, so there was walk to rule, right?
First Vice President of the Grenada Union of Teachers, Marvin Andel, accuses government of refusing to resolve the matter of teachers' docked salaries.
I regret to inform you that the Grenada Union of Teachers has been forced to intensify the work to rule industrial action. This is due to the fact that despite several talks over the past months, government has refused to resolve this matter and returned the doc salary. The union is of the view that it is in the best interest of all to have this matter resolved, and so that our education system can return to a state of normalcy.
This issue first surfaced in November of 2018, where teachers' strike action resulted in portions of their salaries being withheld. Government said the decision to dock teachers' salaries was as a result of the strike action taken to protest its offer on gratuity payment. This led to the union calling on its members to implement work-to-rule action, boycotting intercall games and other major school activities. The union says the work-to-rule continues. However, it urges teachers to carry out their duties they were contracted to do.
Grenada Union of Teachers takes this opportunity to remind its members that they should not perform duties other than those that they are contractually obligated to do during this period. For instance, organizing and managing sporting events and participating in national events on public holidays are not contractual obligations that we have as teachers. We further reiterate that all activities that take teachers out of their minimum working hours would not be engaged in during the work-to-rule.
Right, so there was a work-to-rule in place. So the teachers, they decided they're not doing anything extra. All right? And it's something that you have to remind the young ones about. Last night, I spoke to you about all the amount of millions that the NNP administration allowed those conmen and crooks to come here and just take, and nobody went to jail, nobody arrested, nobody charged. And I told you, as adults in the room, speak to the young ones, particularly those who are eligible or who will be eligible to vote come the next election. You have to speak to them. And then I'm saying to you now, the young ones again, speak to them, because the NNP docked the salaries of the teachers, and they went into their money, their salary, and say, well, you go and protest or demonstrated for your pension and your gratuity, we take in your money. So they took their money from them, and it affected them greatly. It affected the teachers greatly. All right. I remember your Emlyn Pay talking.
As the work-to-rule continues, the Grenada Union of Teachers met on Tuesday to discuss a possible resolution to the ongoing industrial dispute.
Right, so not this one, but I remember Emlyn Pay, because she was the Minister of Education then, right? And she had all kind of stuff to say about this whole work-to-rule,
In 2018, the Grenada Union of Teachers led its members in industrial action, describing it as a period to rest and reflect on government's 2% gratuity offer. Minister of Education Emlyn Pay maintains that public officers are governed by the laws of the land in which they must abide.
Right, you think that woman easy? That woman here? You think she easy?
And we have attempted to explain this to the union, that we can only work with what is contained in the laws of Grenada when it comes to industrial action. So the law speaks about red and ban. It speaks about go slow. It speaks about strike. Nowhere contained is rest and reflection.
Right. So the law speaks about strike and so on. So the union strike, they were out there protesting and demonstrating. All right. And the NNP administration went into their salaries, the teachers, the hardworking teachers, and take their money from their salary. You understand the point? And they took it around at Christmas time. Yeah, I think it was November, close to December. They took their money to affect them, to hurt them, because they went on the streets protesting for their pension and the increase. So the teachers union and the members decided, well, all the extra things that we continue to do, we stopping it. So there was no intercall, no sports meet, no nothing like that. Nothing like that for a lot of years. A lot of years under NNP. And they never paid the teachers back their money. They never gave them back their money. But when NDC, and I didn't want to play more of Emlyn Pay. She's a snake, in my belief. She's a political snake. I want to play more. Just take out that from the thing there. Let me move on. So the Union of Teachers, they got the money that the NNP took from their salary, right? The NNP administration took from their salary when the NDC came into power. And then Intercall came back. And then Parish Sports came back. And then all the different sporting events and so on returned. And the science fair and the, debates and all the different things.
According to the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers, it is a proud moment for the union and light at the end of the tunnel as the work to rule is completely over. The president made the announcement on Tuesday. The work to rule has been in effect since 2019. The Grenada Union of Teachers, or GUT, instituted the protest action in its fight with the NNP-led administration for a 20% gratuity payment, which resulted in the regime docking the pay of teachers who engaged in strike action.
And therefore, from September of the new school year, 2023, we look forward in going back to what it was before, pre-work to rule, in teachers and students partaking in all the different extracurricular activities and especially primary and secondary school sports.
However, according to Bartholomew, the TA Marisho issue is still a concern and industrial actions continue.
The TAMCC is a long-standing...
Yeah, well, the TAMCC matter was resolved. The government, again, and that was under the NNP, the NNP refused to pay these people their money. And they were in the hot sun, beating drum, blowing bubuzelas and conch shell, demanding that they get paid. The NDC administration came in and they paid these people, I think it was $20-something million, The lecturers and faculty and so on, paid them their money and everything went back to normal at TAMCC. You see, the NNP, they never saw education as important. They wanted to keep as many people as possible illiterate, dumb, ignorant. They want to keep them in the dark when it comes to education. So that is how, or that is why they treated the teachers that way. That is why they treated the lecturers and so on at TAMCC that way. And you have to remind the young people, you have to remind them about those things. So the TAMCC matter, that was resolved. But you heard he said, look, they got the pay. The NDC paid the doc salary. In fact, that was one of the first good gesture by the NDC at the stadium when they were taking the oath, swearing-in ceremony and so on, taking the oath as ministers and so on. Our beloved Prime Minister mentioned that, look, the doc salaries will be paid. Paying back the doc salaries to the teachers and the public officers. I remember Keith was on GBN or somewhere he was, or in Canada somewhere, and he made some pronouncements regarding the same doc salary. Where he said if you're in work, you can't get paid. What's to that effect, right? I think somewhere about the place there. Let me see.
If you don't work, then I don't know how I can agree to pay you. But that's the philosophy of the Prime Minister. It's different from me. So he will have to deal with that, the consequences of that. So I'm not going to impute any other motives on his part. As I said, the honeymoon is on. Give them the chance to settle down. But my position on that is well known, and I will not change it because I'm in opposition.
That was Opposition Leader Dr. Keith Mitchell, who remains unfazed by government's intent to repay teachers' doc salary, as he stands rigid with his then government's decision made. Dr. Keith Mitchell was Prime Minister at the time when government docked the salaries of teachers who were involved in a protest action prompted by the GUT over a 2% gratuity payment offer. A letter from government was issued on the 13th of November 2018 to all permanent secretaries and head of department informing them of the deduction. Union leaders had threatened dire consequences if the government had proceeded with its threat to dock workers' pay. The deduction comes a day after both public sector unions and the government negotiating team renewed talks on the issues of gratuity, which by all intentions was reported to be cordial. A joint release calling off the strike and signaling the resumption of negotiations.
Right. So you heard what Keith said there, and that was Keith's position. And, uh, it's amazing, and I look at all the different protests and protests and protests. During the NNP time in office, it was really a situation of uneasiness. The environment was tense. A lot of labor issues, a lot of demonstration, a lot of protests, a lot of workers were out there protesting, demonstrating for basic things. But under the NDC, we have not seen that. We have not seen this regular protesting and demonstrating and marching in the streets and just a different type of governance. And that is why I say Grenada is peaceful. Grenada is stable. And that is what you want in any country. You want stability. You want peace. You want to be able to work and produce without worrying about, whether there will be protests today, whether people are going to be demonstrating in the streets today. It's just different. All right? But the dock salaries were paid by the NDC administration, I think $1 million.
It will be like Christmas in July for some teachers as government makes good on its promise to repay salaries that were docked in 2018. During the new government's first post-cabinet press briefing on Tuesday, Minister for Education, Senator the Honorable David Andrew, told members of the media that $1,264,000 will be paid to teachers at the end of July. The previous administration had docked the salaries of teachers who were involved in protest action and remained away from school for nearly 2 weeks. Minister Andrew said the repayment can help to enhance the relationship between the ministry and the teachers, as well as the level of production in the classroom.
In keeping with the spirit of what the Prime Minister indicated, we believe it's not going to be productive to have an adversarial climate with our employees, with our workers. And we know that the docked salaries created a very adversarial atmosphere within our ministry and the education sector for a pretty long time, and no doubt that had cost us quite a bit. So we are happy to announce that this month end, the docked salaries to the tune of $1,264,075.78 will be paid to persons who were unduly docked their salaries.
Minister Andrew says his ministry has been working closely with the Ministry of Finance to meet the financial obligation. He explained that the refund will be administered 1 day after the processing of regular salary payments. Both payments will be disbursed by July 26th.
Normally, salaries are processed on the 21st of July each month. And so this month, July 22nd, would be an additional processing of the docked salaries. We have been reliably informed from our dedicated staff at Finance that this is happening. And so both payrolls would be sent to the respective financial institutions for disbursement by the 26th. So it's our anticipation by the 28th or so of this month, those funds, the docked salaries, will be available to persons in their various accounts. We are very happy to do that, and we look forward to continuing to collaborate amicably with all of our teachers and stakeholders in education to ensure all of the goodwill and the relational spirit that existed in that sector can be regained, and we can benefit immensely from that.
Yeah, so that was really good. That was really good. The NDC repaid the hardworking teachers their money that the NNP administration took from their salaries. And what that did, schools were able to have their sports meet again. Intercall came back again. Because, people could forget those things quite easily, Now that things are normal, now that things are back, well, at least for the last 2 to 3 years, right? I am saying during the NNP time in office, that was not the case for a good amount of years, I think since 2018, 2019, thereabout, there was no sports, no intercall, no nothing like that. So you have 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, for a good 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, no sporting events, no intercall, no nothing. And the children, they were affected adversely. Because if you don't have the intercall, you have all these different rivalry or different sporting events, then you're talking about Carifta, you're talking about all the different other, and then you have people who would come and scout for talent. And then they would have them go on to different colleges and that kind of thing. So you have to understand the bigger picture. The bigger picture. And it affected the schools, the students, the teachers, their psyche, their everything, because that is what they know. But under the NNP, that was the situation. Lest we forget, because people could forget things so quickly. But look at what the NDC did when they came in. They say, look, we want a good, conducive environment for the kids to learn, to grow, to develop. What we will do is to give these people back their money that the NNP administration took from their salaries. All right? And just $1.2 million. That is how wicked the NNP was, The NNP took just $1.2 million from the salaries of teachers. And you had conmen and crooks who came here and took millions and millions and millions. Look at the shrimp farm, $52.4 million, Those conmen came and just go with $52.4 million. Let that soak in. While the Honorable Andy Williams was talking about Carriacou and the allocation for Carriacou, I think he said 44 point something million dollars in the budget. You know what my mind went back to? The shrimp farm money, the $52.4 million that the convestors and crooks took under the NNP administration from taxpayers. Do you know that is more than the amount of money that is being allocated for Carriacou and PT Martinique? Sometimes we have to make connections, comparisons. In other words, you have to look at those things. So under the NNP, those convestors, crooks, fraudsters came and they conned the NNP administration. They conned the Keith Mitchell-led administration of $52.4 million. That money should have been going to the development of the country, should have been in government coffers. It went into the bank accounts of those conmen and crooks. $52.4 million. Carriacou's allocation, and mind you, NDC increased the allocation for Carriacou and PG Martinique to 44 point something million dollars. NDC increased it significantly. But still, the amount of money those conmen and crooks took from the shrimp farm project is more than what Karaku and PT Matic would get for an entire year. So just sit and let that soak in. And then you have the Mount Hartman, Rick Carlton scandal and fiasco with Ekram J. Miller under the NNP again, where $20 million was given to this convestor, this crook. 20 million US, That's 53 point something million dollars. And he just run away with it with he and his family, and they went on the yacht and them big yachts, and they had a ball of a time, right? Drinking, eating, laughing, and not a brick went up in Mount Hartman. All the money just vanished, disappeared under the NNP administration. Those conmen and crooks came in and took that money. And then you look at Livera, again, some white, blue-eye men came in and they conned the NNP administration of $29 million. They conned them, they take that, and they flew, they disappeared with their family. And again, they like yachts. So they went on the yacht and they drink and they eat and they marry up themselves with $29 million. It's amazing. It's amazing. But that's money that could be invested in our communities, building our basketball courts and netball courts so our young men and women can channel their energy on the basketball court, on the netball court in a very positive way. That money could have been invested in refurbishing our community centers or upgrading our playing fields, lighting our playing fields, so young men and women could be playing cricket, playing football during the night time. Now we're seeing our government investing in that, significantly so. But the money that those convestors and crooks took could have done that years and years ago. That money could have been invested in free tuition years and years ago. That money could have been invested in the free hot meal program for all students who want years and years ago. That money could have been invested in the school bus program years and years ago. That money could have been invested in the concrete road or the concrete drain in your community, or building bathrooms for people who use pit latrines and so on. In other words, you have to sit and just reflect on the amount of millions and millions of dollars that those blue-eye white guys came here and con the NNP administration. They just take it, NNP really had a weakness of white men, Yeah, foreigners, they had a weakness for white men. They were able, you have some women. NNP is like a woman who just like a white thing. That's all. They don't even like a black man. All they like is a white thing. So anytime they see, because watch, the worst set of poor people they could find is white people, You go in some of those suburbs and you go in some of those countries with white people, the worst set of poor people you could see is them. Because a black person, they grew up hard, they know what poverty looks like, and they're resilient and they could make it. But the NNP, they always fall for those white men, those blue-eye white men during their time in power. They con them, they shaft them. They in other words, they took the NNP, they knocked the NNP about, the NNP administration, and they didn't use no big set of thing, all on the side of the road. Those white men they use the NNP. And instead of the NNP getting something from them, the NNP turn around, the NNP administration turn around and take taxpayers' money and pay them white men for what they did to them, use and abuse them. Taxpayers' money just vanish. I'm telling you. And you look at some of those NNP MPs when NNP was out of power, and even now, some of them in poverty. So them white men came and they used them and abused them. And taxpayers' money had to pay for it. It's like you have a daughter and you have a little money and she has access to your bank account and she with some man, and for some strange reason, the man persuade her to buy a car, but instead of she buying the car in she name, she buy the car and she put it on the man's name. The man persuade her to buy a piece of land, you know, instead of buying the piece of land and put it on she name, she put it on the man's name. Right? To buy or to build a house, instead of building the house on the piece of land, she want to build it on the man family land. And then he just decided to just take everything. That's how the NNP operated. The NNP, watch me. The NNP administration had some real dunce politicians with them, you know. Yeah, dunce. But they had a weakness for white men. They had a weakness. They were opening the leg, the political leg, easy for them white men to come and take taxpayers' money. Yeah, and some of them, you know, they're doing it anyway, in the open. They were bad-minded and wicked. They abuse taxpayers' money. They're no good. They're dirty. They're nasty. Costs take them, you know, a lot of them, you look at them, dry season take them. Costs what take them so. Because of what they do to taxpayers' money in this country. A lot of money, you know. No liquor money. A lot of money. Them white men come here and they just take taxpayers' money from the NNP administration. The NNP administration had a weakness for them white, blue-eye men. And many of those blue-eye white men who came in, they were poor. They had nothing. You know, it's like you go in a fete, right? You and some friends, and because that individual has high color, as we say, quote unquote high color, light skin, right? And maybe looking different, dress kind of fancy, because if you go into con, somebody go put on a false everything. And then the woman now, or women, they fall for that man. When they investigate, they realize the man ain't nothing but too late. Sometimes the man breed them, make some bikini, can't even mind them. Yeah, that's how the NNP was operating. They got fooled. The NNP administration, they got fooled by those blue-eyed white men who came here and take taxpayers' money. A lot. Watch, we lost a lot of money under the NNP administration. You know, a lot of money, millions and millions and millions of dollars. Those convicts, those crooks, they came here. So again, I say to you, the NNP, they had a weakness for those white men, white blue-eyed men. They were opening their political legs easy for them. And they're taking them anywhere, no matter where they come from, they're taking them. I mean, the NNP was nasty to Grenadian people, you know. Yeah. Nasty. And look, I'm not a racist, you know. I love all race. White, black, wherever you're from. I am not racist. No. Because in all race, you have nice people, good people. All right? But I'm referencing, I'm talking about facts. What the NNP administration did to this country. Millions and millions of dollars. But folks, we have to constantly be reminding our people, telling them about what the NNP administration did to this country. Lest we forget. Lest we forget. We will go back and make the same mistake. Lest we forget. Folks, I want to wish you all the best.